parachutes coming down, and then later on there was a distribution of the bread, pure white bread that we'd never seen, and we thought this was, tasted wonderful.
And I remember being vividly ill because I couldn't tolerate milk products or bread made with milk or anything like that. It really upset our digestive system because we hadn't had it for so long.
Manna from heaven, because that saved thousands of lives.
It had a very adverse effect on a lot of us. I think, speaking for myself, it's when the war started to make sense.
It was clear after the food droppings that the end of the war was near.
In the meantime, Hitler shot himself. The German army under Blaskowitz surrendered in Holland on May the 5th. So our war was over on May the 5th. And to this day, it's celebrated in Holland as Liberation Day.
Liberation for the Netherlands came on May 5th, 1945, 3 days prior to VE Day. It was the answer to Dutch prayers, as 5 years of oppression had ended and precious food was being delivered to end the starvation. The euphoric reaction of the Dutch was staggering.
Well, we heard something like a rumbling, and here came a tank from the Canadians.
So they said, no, they're not Nazis. Holland is free now. And so we were the last to be liberated.
And the people just went absolutely berserk.
I remember clearly the mood of total excitement, exhilaration, relief and joy.
Liberation came, the church bells were ringing, and my mom and I stood on the sidewalk and we held hands and cried.
Once the Canadians went over the bridge, we knew we are free, and then everybody went berserk.
Oh, it was a lot of days of joy, festivities. I saw my sister dancing with the soldiers on the market.
People somehow seemed to come out of hiding. You saw people who hadn't seen the daylight for maybe several years.
And there was such a grateful reception that it was difficult to drive through the town without hitting somebody because they were so happy.
Oh, were we ever excited? Everybody was in the street and dancing around it.
And the flags were out, and you saw the collaborators being arrested, and it was fantastic. They would throw flowers at you.
There was enormous feeling of togetherness, of everybody, great friendliness and delirious relief and great enormous joy.
We were given chocolate bars and all this stuff. I mean, it was unbelievable. These were the Tommies, the Canadians, and the Canadiens, as we call them. It was just wonderful. It was free. We were free.
The people were so fanatic about being close to them, so hysterical about seeing them, that the Canadians, as I remember, they had hands full of cigarettes and chocolates, and they just threw them off so that the people would disperse for a moment so that they could advance another 2 or 3 meters.
And out of the tank came a soldier, and he came up to me. I was standing there with 10, 15 children, and we got the first chocolate from a Canadian soldier. And it was a sunny day, and I had a piece of chocolate in my hand, and suddenly the chocolate, I saw it was melting. I didn't know what it was, so the Canadian soldier said to me I had to lick. And it tasted very sweet, and my hand was totally brown. Suddenly, out of the tank came a Negro soldier, and I never saw a Negro. And I said to my sister, wow, the whole tank is full of this stuff.
They loved our chocolate bars, and our cigarettes too.
They would give cigarettes and chocolate.
They were very generous and very friendly, and they gave a lot, and everybody wanted to shake hands with them.
And I was just so desperate to get to this truck and to find some chocolates or cigarettes or anything on the road that somebody, I was very, very thin, somebody picked me up and put me in the cabin of this truck right on the lap of the guy who drove the truck. And there it was just a phenomenal experience. I was right front and center on top of everybody else. I was higher than anybody else, and they gave me chocolates.
And then I remember also the shaving of the hair, shaving off of the hair of the Dutch girls in our village who had dated German soldiers.
In contrast to the joy of the Dutch over their liberation were the feelings of the Canadian soldiers about the end of the war.
I would say relief. That first night I slept in a nice soft bed and didn't have to be worried about waking up with mortar bombs falling or shells bursting. No sound of battle. It was a very nice feeling.
The thing that I can remember is vividly when the war was finished, that all these Germans were marched back, and they were all lined up, and they came marching through our village, and there were thousands of them.
Amid the joy was another emotion for some, despair. Many families had been torn apart and destroyed. The future was filled with uncertainty for the children who came out of hiding.
The feeling was, I want to go home. I wonder where my mother, father, sister, and brother are.
Then we realized that they had not survived, and slowly we heard, of course, from our relatives who had seen them off on the train from Theresienstadt to Auschwitz, one of the last. Wasn't it the last or
one of the last trains from Theresienstadt, and one of the last gassings in Auschwitz, because they stopped gassing in early November,
and they were
late October.
My mother went to Auschwitz, and she didn't stay that long. They were in the experimental camp, Mengeles experimental camp, and they were also in the so-called elite group of women, because they were good-looking women, and there were some camp guards, I guess, who liked women and used them for other things but just talking. And my mother said no. And then there was a direct route to the gas chamber.
I remember what I thought, but I also remember that I always hoped that I was wrong.
That they would come back.
That they would come back.